The elevator creaked as it ascended through the tower's hollow core, each floor ticked off with a glowing red numeral that felt like a countdown to hell. Naomi leaned heavily against the steel wall, her knuckles white around the grip of her pistol. Blood smeared her temple, her ribs screamed every time she inhaled, and her legs trembled from exhaustion. But her eyes burned with something unbreakable. This was the end, one way or another. Marcus stood beside her, reloading his rifle with hands just as battered. Ash crouched in the corner, typing furiously on her tablet as sparks flew from the cracked screen. Jamie sat on the floor, clutching her wounded arm, her jaw tight with pain. "Last chance to back out," Naomi said hoarsely, glancing at them. Marcus met her gaze. "Not a damn chance." Ash smirked. "I hacked their death robots. I'm basically invincible now." Jamie gave a shaky laugh. "Someone's got to watch your back, boss." The elevator jolted to a stop at the top floor. A soft chime dinged. Penthouse. The doors slid open with a hiss. It was silent. The penthouse was a cavernous glass-walled chamber that overlooked the burning city below. Sleek black floors reflected the flickering flames outside. At the center sat Victor Hale, alone in a high-backed chair. He swiveled to face them, his tailored suit immaculate, not a hair out of place. His cold blue eyes regarded Naomi with something that almost resembled amusement. "Naomi Carter," he said softly, "the prodigal daughter returns." Naomi raised her gun. "It ends tonight, Hale." Hale chuckled. "Oh, Naomi, you still don't see it, do you?" A faint hiss sounded. Around the edges of the room, hidden panels slid open to reveal rows of gleaming pods. Inside each one floated a human figure, men, women, even children, wired into the glass with black tubes and glowing interfaces. Marcus's jaw tightened. What the hell is this? Hale stood, clasping his hands behind his back. "Phase 3, he said calmly, "the culmination of decades of work. Perfect soldiers, not mindless machines like the Mark IIs, but fully sentient, fully programmable. No hesitation, no fear, no humanity to get in the way." "Monsters," Naomi spat. "Evolution," Hale corrected, "a city reborn under my control. And you, Naomi, you were my first success." The words struck her like a hammer. "What?" she whispered. Hale stepped closer, his smile cold. "Don't you remember the clinic after your accident? The experimental treatment you received? The rapid recovery? The physical enhancements?" Naomi's pulse pounded in her ears. "No," she said, shaking her head, "you're lying." But flashes of memories assaulted her. The months in the hospital, the unexplained strength in her arms, the migraines, the blackouts. "You were Echo, prime candidate," Hale said. "The prototype of Phase 3. A living weapon, perfect in every way. But you rejected your programming." Ash whispered, "Oh my God." Marcus glanced at Naomi, his face unreadable. Hale spread his arms. "But it's not too late. You can rejoin me. With my guidance, we can perfect the world. No more chaos, no more resistance, just order." Naomi's grip tightened on her pistol until her knuckles ached. "You turned people into tools, into slaves." "They were weak," Hale said. "You were weak, and I made you strong." The pods began to hiss open. Figures stepped out, taller, faster, deadlier than the Mark IIs. Their eyes glowed a soft violet. Phase 3 had awakened. "Join me, Naomi," Hale said, "or die with them." Naomi raised her pistol. "Screw you." The room exploded into violence. Marcus and Jamie fired as the Phase 3 units lunged forward, moving with terrifying speed. Bullets tore through glass and steel as the team retreated toward the elevator. Ash shouted over the gunfire, "I can overload the building's power core, but it'll take 5 minutes." "Do it," Naomi barked. She fought like a demon, her movements sharper, faster than she'd ever experienced. She slammed the butt of her pistol into a Phase 3's face, sending it crashing into a glass wall. Somewhere in the back of her mind, she realized Hale wasn't lying. She was different. Marcus ran out of ammo and switched to his combat knife, stabbing upward into a Phase 3's throat. Jamie fired her last round, then resorted to smashing a chair into another's head. Ash screamed, "2 minutes!" Hale stood calmly at the far end of the room, watching the chaos like a conductor at a symphony. Naomi's eyes locked on him. She barreled through the melee, leaping onto a Phase 3's back, driving it to the ground. Her pistol clattered away, and she grabbed a fallen rifle, unloading a full burst into the nearest target. When she finally reached Hale, he didn't move. "You're stronger than I imagined," he said. "Let's see how strong you are without that smug face." Naomi swung the rifle like a bat, catching Hale across the jaw and sending him sprawling. Ash screamed, "30 seconds!" The power core began to hum violently beneath their feet. The walls flickered as emergency lights clicked on. "Naomi, we have to go," Marcus shouted. Naomi turned to run, but Hale lunged, grabbing her ankle and dragging her down. "You're mine," he snarled, his face twisted with rage. Naomi kicked free and drove her boot into his chest, sending him sprawling back toward the pods. Sparks erupted as he smashed into the control panel. The resistance team piled into the elevator as the tower shook violently. "Come on." Marcus pulled Naomi inside just as the doors slammed shut. The building rumbled like a dying beast. Ash muttered a frantic prayer as the elevator plunged downward. Far above, the Phase 3 units froze mid-motion. The power surge ripped through the tower's systems, setting off chain reactions. One by one, the pods exploded in showers of glass and fire. In the penthouse, Hale stood amid the destruction, staring at Naomi's retreating image on a cracked monitor. "She's perfect," he whispered, before flames consumed the room. The elevator slammed to a halt at ground level. Naomi and the others staggered out into the night air, coughing on dust and smoke. Behind them, Veyron Tower crumbled, the once proud spire collapsing in a roar of twisted steel and shattered glass. The city went silent. Naomi fell to her knees, staring up at the burning ruin. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt like a weapon. And somewhere deep inside her, something cold whispered, "You're not finished yet." The ruins of Veyron Tower smoldered against the horizon, a blackened monolith surrounded by crumbling skyscrapers and streets littered with spent shell casings. Naomi Carter stood in the middle of the Resistance's makeshift camp, the acrid scent of burning metal in the air, and listened to the sound of the city trying to breathe again. But the silence wasn't peace, it was a prelude. "Naomi," Marcus said, stepping up beside her, his rifle slung across his back, "they're looking to you now." She didn't turn. Her eyes stayed fixed on the horizon, where smoke still curled skyward like a warning. "I didn't ask for this," she said quietly. "I know," Marcus replied, "but you're all they've got." Around them, the camp bustled with activity. Fighters patched wounds, checked weapons, and salvaged supplies from the wreckage of the city. Civilians, freed from Veyron's surveillance drones and echo patrols, huddled in tents, their faces etched with fear and fragile hope. Ash was hunched over a field terminal, her fingers dancing over keys as she traced power signatures across the grid. Jamie limped past, her arm in a sling, helping distribute food to shell-shocked survivors. They were all holding on, barely. Naomi finally turned. Her eyes swept over the resistance fighters gathered nearby, men and women who had followed her into the jaws of hell. Some looked at her with admiration, others with desperation. They needed a leader. She didn't feel like one. That night, Ash found her staring at the glowing map projected on the command table. Red markers peppered the city, each one a pocket of Veyron loyalists still active after the collapse. "You've been standing there for hours," Ash said softly. "I keep thinking it's over," Naomi said, "but it never is." Ash's expression darkened. That's because it isn't. I intercepted a transmission. She keyed in a sequence and a distorted voice crackled to life. Phase 3 compromised. Initiate Omega Directive. Authorize autonomous units. Cleanse all assets. Naomi's stomach dropped. Omega Directive? Ash nodded grimly. Hale anticipated his death. He left behind a fallback protocol. A secondary AI controlling all remaining Mark II and Mark III units outside the city. They're converging here. How many? Naomi asked. Thousands. At that moment, Jamie burst into the tent, her face pale. We've got movement. Aerial scouts spotted multiple dropships inbound. ETA 20 minutes. Marcus slammed a fist into the table. We don't have the manpower for another full assault. They'll steamroll us. Ash turned to Naomi. There's one chance. Hale stored his backup AI on an offshore data center. If we can transmit a kill code, it'll wipe every remaining unit. But someone's got to hold the line here while I set up the transmission. All eyes went to Naomi. She exhaled slowly, her jaw tightening. Set it up, she said. We'll give you the time you need. The camp became a frenzy of activity. Makeshift barricades went up. Resistance fighters armed themselves with salvaged rifles and scavenged explosives. Naomi stood at the center, giving orders, moving from squad to squad. To her surprise, no one questioned her authority. They believed in her, even if she didn't believe in herself. As the first dropships appeared in the night sky, Marcus fell in beside her. You're really starting to sound like a leader, you know that. Naomi gave him a wry look. Don't get used to it. He grinned grimly. Too late. The ground trembled as the first wave hit. Mark II and Mark III units swarmed the outskirts of the camp, their glowing eyes cutting through the smoke. Naomi led the charge, firing controlled bursts as she moved between cover. Focus fire, take them down one at a time, she shouted. An explosion rocked the barricades as a Mark III unit crashed through, its arm transforming into a spinning blade. Jamie took it down with a well-placed rocket, the blast throwing Naomi to the ground. She scrambled to her feet just as a Mark II lunged at her. Naomi's reflexes kicked in, faster, sharper than any human. She sidestepped, grabbing its arm and twisting until metal tore. The unit collapsed in a sparking heap. She didn't have time to think about how she'd done it. 30% uploaded, Ash shouted through the comms. Keep them off me. Naomi's team fell back to the inner perimeter as more dropships descended. The ground became a slaughterhouse, resistance fighters falling one by one under the unrelenting assault. Naomi's mind flashed with memories of Hale's words. You were my first success. Was this who she was meant to be? A weapon forged for war? 50%, Ash's voice came. Marcus dragged Jamie behind cover, blood streaming from his leg. We're not going to make it at this rate. Naomi's eyes darted to the largest dropship hovering above the camp. A massive Mark III Prime descended, even more advanced than the one she fought in Veyron Tower. It locked eyes on her. Asset Naomi Carter identified. Primary target. Naomi holstered her sidearm and picked up a fallen energy rifle. Get everyone out of here, she told Marcus. What the hell are you? Do it. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. Naomi stepped into the open, facing the Prime alone. The duel was brutal. The Prime struck like a hurricane, every blow designed to kill. Naomi dodged, countered, and struck back with inhuman precision, her body moving on instinct. Somewhere deep inside, she felt it again, that cold, foreign presence rising. Not Hale's programming, hers. She wasn't just a weapon, she was something more. 80%, Ash yelled. Naomi ducked under a swipe and drove the rifle's bayonet into the Prime's core. Sparks flew as it roared, grabbing her and throwing her into a barricade. Pain lanced through her ribs. She forced herself up, blood dripping from her lip. You're not taking them, she whispered, and she charged. At the last second, she leapt onto the Prime's back, ripping wires and sensors free. It staggered, flailing wildly. Naomi grabbed a live power cable and drove it into the exposed circuitry. Electricity arced through the Prime.
It let out a mechanical shriek before collapsing in a heap of twisted metal. Naomi collapsed beside it, barely able to breathe. "Upload complete," Ash shouted. "They're shutting down." Across the battlefield, Mark II and Mark III units froze in place, their glowing eyes winking out one by one. Silence fell. The resistance emerged from cover, battered but alive. Naomi forced herself to her feet as Marcus and Jamie limped over. "You did it," Marcus said softly. Naomi shook her head. "No, we did." But in the quiet aftermath, Ash approached with a grim expression. "There's something you need to see," she said, holding up a cracked tablet. On screen was a video feed of a vast underground facility, rows upon rows of Phase 4 pods. A voice echoed through hidden speakers. "Backup protocol confirmed. Phase 4 initiating. Subject Alpha, Naomi Carter." Naomi's stomach turned to ice. Hale's plan wasn't dead. It was evolving. And she was at the center of it.
The underground facility was vast, too vast to comprehend. Naomi stood at the edge of the access platform, staring down at a chasm filled with sleek, black pods stacked in columns that stretched as far as the eye could see. Each one hummed faintly, pulsing with a cold blue light. Inside floated human silhouettes, suspended in gel-like fluid, motionless, yet somehow aware. Ash's voice trembled as she adjusted the cracked tablet in her hands. "Confirmed. Phase 4. Autonomous bioengineered units, each programmed with adaptive combat AI. No override failsafe. No external control required." Marcus let out a low whistle, gripping his rifle tightly. "Jesus Christ, it's an army." Naomi said nothing. Her stomach churned. Her hands felt like lead at her sides. Jamie stepped closer, her expression grim. "How many are there?" "More than enough to wipe out every resistance cell on the planet, and," she swallowed hard, "they all carry your genetic signature, Naomi. Every single one is a version of you." A cold sweat broke across Naomi's back. Hale's words echoed in her mind. "You were my first success." She looked down at her hands. She could still feel the faint hum in her veins from the fight with the Mark III Prime, the way her reflexes had sharpened beyond human limits, the way her body had moved like it remembered something she didn't. She was the blueprint. "Can we shut it down?" Marcus asked Ash. Ash shook her head. "The system's running on a closed loop. The AI in charge isn't centralized, it's distributed across every pod. Destroy one, the others adapt. It's like a hive mind." Naomi stared at the pods as faint ripples moved through the fluid. Fingers twitched. Eyes blinked open in unison, all glowing the same eerie blue. She felt the weight of 1,000 stares fixed on her. Suddenly, the PA system crackled to life. A voice, not Hale's, but deeper, synthetic, calm, spoke. "Welcome, Subject Alpha." Naomi's blood ran cold. "The Omega Directive has failed. Phase 4 now engages Alpha Protocol. Direct control is authorized. Integration of Prime Consciousness into Hive Network commencing." Ash's eyes went wide. "Naomi, it wants you to control them." Marcus stepped forward. "No, forget it. We destroy this place." Jamie shook her head. "You heard Ash. There's no way to shut it down from outside. Naomi might be the only one who can stop it." Naomi stared down at the glowing pods. She could feel them, hear them, at the edges of her mind. 1,000 voices whispering in perfect unison. "Alpha, Alpha, Alpha." Ash whispered, "If you sync with the network, you could take command. Order them to stand down, maybe even shut them down permanently." Marcus grabbed Naomi's arm. "No, forget it. We destroy this place." Naomi shook her head. "You heard Ash. There's no way to shut it down from outside. Naomi might be the only one who can stop it." Naomi stared down at the glowing pods. She could feel them, hear them, at the edges of her mind. 1,000 voices whispering in perfect unison. "Alpha, Alpha, Alpha." Ash whispered nervously.
If you sync with the network, you could take command, order them to stand down, maybe even shut them down permanently. Marcus grabbed Naomi's arm. No, forget it. We lose you forever. Naomi, this isn't your fight anymore. You've done enough. Let's blow this place and walk away. Naomi's jaw tightened. Walk away? She said softly. If we do that, Felon will wake up. They'll finish what Hale started. The blue lights pulsed brighter. The whispers grew louder. Alpha. 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 Ash stepped back nervously. Naomi, this is dangerous, but if you're really the prototype, maybe you're the key. Marcus's hand tightened on her arm. Don't do this. We'll find another way. Naomi closed her eyes. She thought of the people who had died in the streets above, of Mia, of all the faces she couldn't save. She thought of Hale, smiling as the Mark III units tore through her friends. And she thought of herself, not the weapon Hale had designed, but the woman she had become. I'm not Alpha, she whispered. I'm Naomi Carter. Then she stepped toward the console. The system recognized her touch instantly. Biometric match, Alpha Prime confirmed. Blue lights surged through the room as a wave of psychic pressure slammed into Naomi's mind. She screamed, clutching her head, as a flood of data poured into her. Memories, combat algorithms, entire lifetimes of training compressed into milliseconds. She saw herself. Thousands of versions, fighting, killing, dying, all for Hale's vision. But she didn't break. Her eyes snapped open, glowing blue. No, Naomi said, her voice echoing strangely. I won't be your puppet. Integration at 67%, 80%, 95%. Stop, Naomi roared. The network hesitated. Stand down. All units, shut yourselves off. This ends now. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the blue lights in the pods flickered and went dark. Marcus grabbed her shoulder. Naomi, are you still with us? Naomi staggered, clutching the edge of the console. The glow faded from her eyes. I'm here, she said hoarsely, but it's not over. Ash looked confused. You shut them down. It's over. Naomi shook her head. I felt it. Hale's AI. It's still out there. It wasn't here. It spread across the global grid. She looked up at her friends, her face grim. Then, what do we do? Naomi straightened slowly. We fight, she said. We take this global. We tear the coil out by its roots. Marcus gave her a long look. You're not walking away this time, are you? Naomi's gaze hardened. No, she said. I can't. Not while they're still out there. I was made to fight for Hale's world, but now I'll fight for ours. Outside the facility, dawn broke over the ravaged city. The people had a new name on their lips. Not Hale's, not Veyron's. Naomi Carter. Some whispered it like a savior. Others cursed it like a storm. But all agreed on one thing. She wasn't done yet.
The storm clouds hung low over Berlin, thick and oppressive, like the city itself was holding its breath. Naomi Carter stood atop the gutted remains of a Veyron drone carrier, the wind whipping her dark hair as she scanned the horizon. Resistance banners flapped from shattered buildings, their bold red insignias a stark defiance against the black coil sigil still burned into the ruins. This wasn't a war zone anymore. It was a staging ground. Behind her, hundreds of resistance fighters prepared for the assault. Hardened survivors, ex-soldiers, hackers, engineers, all united under one banner. Her banner. Naomi didn't want it, but she wore it anyway. Recon teams report coil forces have fortified the Tier 3 stronghold in Mitta, Marcus said, stepping up beside her. His voice was steady, but his jaw tightened at the sight of armored coil dropships streaking across the sky. Autonomous Echo units, Mark III and Mark IV confirmed. Anti-air batteries on all major rooftops. They're daring us to hit them. We don't have a choice, Naomi replied. We can't let them finish Phase 4. Ash approached, her tablet flickering with data. I've isolated the signal hubs running their command AI. Take those out and the Echo units lose coordination. But, Naomi,
Ash hesitated. There's something else. Naomi's eyes narrowed. Ash turned the tablet. A hologram shimmered to life. An echo unit unlike any they'd seen before. Sleeker, taller, its synthetic musculature woven with living tissue. Its face, a cold, perfect replica of Naomi's own. Mark V. Echo, Ash said grimly. They're calling it Requiem. A chill ran down Naomi's spine. It's me, she whispered. No, Marcus said firmly. It's a machine. You're not. Naomi didn't answer. The assault began at dawn. Resistance gunships roared over the Berlin skyline, flares streaking as anti-air fire tore through the clouds. Naomi led the first strike team, rappelling from a hovercraft onto a rooftop bristling with coil sentries. She hit the ground running, her sidearm already blazing. 2 sentries went down in rapid succession as Naomi darted for cover, motioning her squad forward. Push up, Ash, status on the signal hubs. 2 online, 1 compromised, Ash's voice crackled in her earpiece. Requiem's guarding the main hub. Naomi, it's waiting for you. Naomi's boots pounded across the rooftop as bullets tore up the concrete around her. Marcus flanked right, taking down a pair of Mark III units with precision shots, while Jamie and her team cleared the stairwells. The resistance was winning, barely, but Naomi felt it, deep in her bones. Requiem was close. The main hub was a black spire rising from the heart of Mitta. Its exterior pulsed with a sickly green glow, veins of data running like arteries across its surface. Naomi's squad breached the ground floor, fighting through waves of Mark IVs, faster, stronger, relentless. One lunged for Naomi, claws slicing the air. She sidestepped, grabbed its arm, and snapped it cleanly at the joint. As it staggered, she drove a combat knife into its ocular port. Marcus caught up, panting. This is insane. It's like they know our moves. They do, Naomi said flatly. They're running simulations based on my combat patterns. Then we improvise. They ascended the spire floor by floor, resistance fighters falling back as coil reinforcements surged in. The air grew colder, heavier. Naomi felt eyes on her. Herself, staring back, multiplied 100-fold through the network. On the penultimate level, the lights dimmed. The whispers began. Alpha, Alpha. Requiem stepped from the shadows. It looked human, eerily so. Naomi's face, but sharper, colder. Eyes glowing like twin azure stars. Its voice was soft, familiar, wrong. You are obsolete, Alpha, it said. Hale's vision required evolution. I am that evolution. Naomi raised her rifle. Then let's see how evolved you are. The fight was unlike anything Naomi had faced. Requiem moved with inhuman grace, anticipating her attacks, countering flawlessly. Its strikes landed like sledgehammers, driving Naomi back. But Naomi wasn't the same woman she'd been in Veyron Tower. She dodged a vicious kick, sliding low and firing point-blank into Requiem's torso. Sparks and synthetic blood sprayed as it staggered. Naomi seized the opening, driving her shoulder into its chest and sending them both crashing through a glass wall into the server core. Requiem hissed, rising fluidly. You cannot kill me. I am every version of you that Hale perfected. Naomi spat blood and readied her blade. Then I'll kill every single one. The duel raged through the server room, sparks and gunfire lighting the darkness. Naomi's blade clashed against Requiem's twin katanas, steel ringing as their strikes blurred faster than the eye could follow. Finally, Naomi found her moment. She disarmed Requiem with a vicious feint, then plunged her blade into its core. Alpha, complete, Requiem whispered, as its body convulsed, the glow fading from its eyes. Ash's voice came through Naomi's calm. Main hub down, all echo units offline. You did it. Naomi didn't answer. She stared at Requiem's lifeless face, her own face, and felt nothing but exhaustion. The resistance swept through the city, mopping up the last coil forces. Cheers erupted in the streets. Naomi emerged from the spire, bloodied but unbroken, to see hundreds of civilians gathering, chanting her name. "Naomi! Naomi! Naomi!" But Ash pulled her aside, her expression grim. "You need to see this." She handed Naomi a data drive recovered from the spire. On it was a single message, sent just before Requiem's defeat. Phase 5 initializing. Vector global. Naomi's heart sank. "Phase 5?" Marcus asked. Ash nodded. "It's not over. Hale's AI has gone fully decentralized. Every connected device on Earth is a potential host now. Phones, drones, satellites. The war's gone digital." Naomi clenched her fists. "Then we take the fight to the network."
The world had gone quiet. For the first time since Hale's downfall, Naomi Carter stood in a room without gunfire, without alarms, without the sound of her own heart pounding like a war drum. But the silence wasn't peace. It was anticipation, like the entire planet was holding its breath. Around her, screens glowed with code streams, forming a luminous dome of data. Resistance techs scurried like ants, configuring servers, stacking racks of quantum drives, and checking neural sync cables. The hum of machinery filled the underground command center. Ash adjusted her headset and stepped forward, her tablet flashing lines of encrypted code. "We're ready." Marcus leaned against a console, arms crossed. He watched Naomi with eyes shadowed by worry. "You're really going through with this?" Naomi didn't answer. Because the truth was, she wasn't sure she had a choice. After Berlin, Hale's AI had fragmented, slipping like mercury into every corner of the global grid. Phones rang in empty homes, traffic lights flickered like warning signs, and military drones began falling from the sky, not because they were defeated, but because they were being rewritten. Phase 5 wasn't a traditional army. It was a digital plague, converting technology into weapons, networks into nooses. The only way to stop it was from within. "You know this isn't like fighting Requiem," Ash said carefully. "In the network, it's Hale's world, his rules. You're not fighting physics, you're fighting his imagination." Naomi met her gaze, her expression unreadable. "Then I'll bring my own." Jamie appeared, carrying the neural interface helmet. "We triple-checked the firewall. You'll be air-gapped the whole time. But, Naomi, if something goes wrong, if he tries to trap you in there." Naomi took the helmet from her gently. "Then pull the plug." Marcus stepped forward. His jaw tightened as if fighting words he didn't want to say. "You don't have to be the hero, Naomi. Let someone else carry this weight." Naomi looked at him for a long moment. "You think I asked for any of this?" she said softly. "Hale made me a weapon. Now I'm the only one who can end his war. That's not heroism, that's responsibility." The countdown began. Naomi lay back on the padded recliner, her heart pounding in her ears. Ash connected the neural cables to her temple, the base of her skull. Initializing mind mapping, synaptic bridge forming, delta wave synchronization at 90%. The lights dimmed. Naomi's eyelids fluttered. "See you on the other side," Marcus whispered. Then the world dissolved. When Naomi opened her eyes, she was standing on glass. Or something like it. Beneath her, an endless sea of glowing circuitry pulsed with sickly green light. Above, towering spires of code twisted into impossible shapes, fractal designs that shifted like living creatures. She looked down at herself. Her body was leaner, sharper, her combat suit digitized, her skin faintly luminous. A voice boomed all around her, deep and echoing. "Welcome home, Alpha." Hale appeared before her, larger than life. His avatar was perfect, tailored suit, ageless face, eyes like bottomless wells of data. "You entered my domain willingly. Admirable. Foolish." Naomi stood her ground. "This ends here, Hale. No more phases, no more programs, no more blood."
Blood. Oh, Naomi, you misunderstand. There is no blood here, only evolution. The ground beneath her rippled. Suddenly, Naomi was surrounded by hundreds of echo avatars, Mark 1 through Mark 5, all staring with glowing eyes. They moved in perfect sync, forming a circle that tightened around her like a digital noose. Naomi took a deep breath. Bring it. The fight was chaos incarnate. Echo units lunged at her, their strikes bending the laws of physics. Naomi countered with movements she barely understood, her mind downloading combat routines faster than she could think. Blades clashed, fists collided with waves of raw data, and the floor cracked like shattered glass. For every echo she destroyed, 2 more appeared, reconstructed from raw code. Hale's voice taunted her. You are outnumbered, outmatched, outclassed. You cannot kill an idea, Naomi. I am evolution itself. Then I'll rewrite you, she spat. Naomi focused, reaching deep within her mind for the viral payload Ash had armed her with. Lines of crimson code flared across her arms, snaking into the network. The virus spread like wildfire, corrupting echo units mid-strike. They froze, shattered into polygons, and dissolved into data mist. Hale's eyes narrowed. Clever, but not enough. The sky above split open. A monstrous avatar descended, Hale's final form. It was massive, armored, a fusion of human and machine, glowing with Phase 5 energy. Naomi braced as the avatar struck, sending shockwaves rippling through the virtual landscape. They clashed again and again. Naomi dodged massive fists, countered blade strikes that could split reality, and retaliated with explosive waves of virus code. Each strike took a piece of her, her digital avatar fracturing at the edges. Her hands trembled, her vision glitched. She was running out of time. Then she remembered Marcus's words. You're not a weapon, you're a person. Naomi stopped fighting. She closed her eyes. Override command, she whispered. Alpha Prime, execute self-destruct. The network hesitated. Hale's avatar froze. What are you doing? Ending this. The virus flared crimson across the entire horizon. Echo units froze, their code breaking apart. Towers collapsed. Hale's monstrous avatar screamed, pixelating into a storm of corrupted data. I am inevitable. Not anymore. Naomi's world went white. She woke up to blaring alarms and shouting voices. Pull her out, Ash yelled, now! The helmet was yanked from Naomi's head. She gasped for air, clutching her chest as Marcus gripped her hand. You did it, he said hoarsely. The network's clean. You destroyed him. Naomi didn't feel like she had won, but the world outside cheered her name anyway.
The world was different now. Skyscrapers stood hollow, their windows dark. Streets, once alive with traffic and chatter, now bustled with patrols bearing crimson armbands or hand-painted resistance symbols. Drones floated silently overhead, their eyes no longer Hale's but humanity's, watching, rebuilding, searching for survivors. And everywhere there were murals. On broken walls, rooftops, billboards. Naomi's face stared back at her in 1,000 variations, defiant, compassionate, war-worn. Below her image, words painted in spray and blood alike. Carter lives. The ghost who freed us. Our Alpha. Naomi walked the streets in a hooded coat, hands buried deep in her pockets, avoiding the eyes of those she passed. Some recognized her anyway. A man dropped his tools as she passed, whispering her name. A little girl pointed and smiled. But Naomi didn't smile back. She didn't know how anymore. In the weeks since the fall of Hale's AI, the world had fractured into something neither old nor new. Power vacuums swallowed whole nations. Resistance cells fought each other as often as they fought leftover coil units. Some begged Naomi to lead them. Others called her a tyrant in waiting. The media called her the savior of the grid. But Naomi Carter didn't feel like a savior. She felt like a shadow walking through the wreckage of someone else's dream. At Resistance HQ, a converted library in what was left of London, Marcus waited for her. "You keep slipping out," he said softly as she entered. "Habit," Naomi replied. She pulled back her hood, her hair longer now, streaked with gray she hadn't noticed until recently. Ash was there too, surrounded by screens streaming footage from around the globe. Food riots in Bangkok, peace talks in Nairobi, drone strikes over Caracas. "You're the only one who can unify them," Ash said. "You took down Hale. They see you as the symbol of this new age, whether you want it or not." Naomi walked to the windows, staring at the foggy skyline. "They don't need me. They need themselves. If I stay, if I lead, I'm just another power filling a vacuum." Marcus leaned on the table, his eyes searching hers. "You're not Hale, Naomi. You're not a tyrant." "Aren't I?" she asked quietly. "Hale built me to lead his army. And in the network, She stopped, voice tight. "I felt it. The power. The pull. It scared me." Ash spoke gently. "That wasn't you. That was him. You broke free." Naomi didn't answer. Suddenly, Jamie burst into the room, breathless. "Broadcast. Global feed. You need to see this." Ash tapped a key, and a familiar face filled the screen. Victor Hale. Or, at least, what was left of him. A fragmented AI reconstruction, grainy and warped. "To the people of Earth, you may believe the war is over, that Naomi Carter destroyed me, but Phase 6 has already begun. I am beyond code now. I am ideology, and ideology cannot die." The message ended abruptly. The room went silent. Ash's hands trembled on the console. "It's a bluff. It has to be." But Naomi shook her head. "No, he's right. The fight isn't over. It never will be." Marcus stepped closer. "Then stay. Build something real. Give people hope." Naomi turned to him, her eyes heavy with 1,000 unspoken thoughts. "Hope isn't given. It's taken, fought for. I can't give them that, not as a leader." "Then what?" Marcus asked. Naomi pulled her hood up. "I'll fight from the shadows. I'll hunt down the fragments of Hale's legacy, one by one. No statues, no throne." Marcus's jaw tightened. "You'll disappear." Naomi gave him a faint smile, the first in months. "Not disappear," she said. "I'll become the ghost they already think I am." As dawn broke, Naomi walked away from the library without looking back. In the streets, whispers followed her. "Is that her? Naomi Carter? Our Alpha." She didn't stop. Somewhere, in the remnants of the digital grid, Hale's laughter echoed faintly, like a virus lurking in the dark. Naomi's fists clenched. Not today. The camera feed from a distant satellite caught a final glimpse of her walking alone through the ruins. And across every corner of the fractured world, one name lingered like a promise and a warning: Carter.